Okay, hey everybody. I keep forgetting to get off of our Wi-Fi when I do these things when I'm outside, and my phone keeps trying to go back to Wi-Fi and cuts us in and out. So I got off, we're all good to go without any kind of misconnection. Again, my name is Sherry Seligson. I have been doing these videos here at the Hip Homeschool Mom site for, goodness, it's been several weeks. It's been a lot. This is episode 30. I cannot believe we've done 30 of them. But it's just been something I wanted to do to just give us something to watch, something to think about, something to do with the kids, some activities to do with the kids as we've been going through these historic stay-at-home periods. And so today is going to actually be the last official multiple day ones that we're doing, but I'm going to jump back on occasionally, and you can of course come back and you can see me on my personal page, Sherry Seligson Author. I'm also at the Apologia page as well. But today we're going to talk about ecosystems one more time, and then we have a really fun upcycle activity that's something that you might want to do even for your home. I'm really excited about it. It's going to be something really fun. It's easy, it's not expensive, and it makes something really fun you can use. But anyway, I want to talk now about the ecosystems. We've been kind of talking about this lake ecosystem that we're here, we kayaked on it. We talked about the shoreline. We talked about the organisms in food chains and in food webs. But I want to talk a little bit about how it's connected with other ecosystems and how other ecosystems are connected with each other, and that and even to the larger biome of the world globally. One of the most fascinating things that I think is great is the connection between animals and plants. Plants actually, not only the fact that we eat them, because we love to eat plants, don't we? But plants will take energy from the sun, and they use that energy to make their food, called photosynthesis. Well, one of the products of photosynthesis is oxygen. All right, that's a byproduct. Plants produce that oxygen. Now, plants also need to take in oxygen for their body processes, but they produce a ton more oxygen than they take in for using their food or respirating their food. Now, animals and other organisms that don't make their food have to utilize oxygen. We take in oxygen to use as what's called respiration, or breaking down our food to get the energy out of it. And so when you see green things all around this lake, you're seeing green. All the trees, all the grasses, all the bushes, and most importantly, what you really can't see ideally are the microscopic organisms in the water that photosynthesize also. They produce all of the oxygen on the planet, and we need that oxygen in order to live, right? We breathe by taking in air, and we use the oxygen out of the air, and then we exhale carbon dioxide. Why do we need oxygen? Because we use that oxygen to break down our food in the process called respiration. When we exhale carbon dioxide, though, do you know what's so cool about that? All of these organisms that photosynthesize need carbon dioxide to photosynthesize. So they take in carbon dioxide and produce oxygen. We take in oxygen and produce carbon dioxide. Isn't that amazing? We both need each other, okay? And so we need these plants, these photosynthesizers, not just to produce the food that we eat, but to produce the oxygen that we breathe. And that's really important. But here's another interesting thing, and I love when I talk about water ecosystems because of this. You could literally chop down all of the rainforest trees in the world. I'm not saying we should, but you could. You could chop down all the rainforest trees in the world, and you would still not remove the major producers of oxygen. We would not have an oxygen problem on the planet. We have lots of other problems, but we wouldn't have an oxygen problem, because the superpowers of photosynthesizers are the microscopic bacteria and plankton that live in the lakes, rivers, and oceans of our world. They are the ones that produce the massive amounts. And if you think about it, when you look at a globe, a map of the world, you see mostly water. The surface area of our ocean, of our world, is covered about 71% by water, and between lakes and oceans, but mostly oceans. And so it makes sense that though there's more of those bacteria, more of those phytoplankton that will take in energy from the sun and photosynthesize and then make the oxygen, not just the food, but the oxygen that we need to survive. It's a beautiful relationship. Plants and other photosynthesizers take in energy from the sun and carbon dioxide, and they produce oxygen. That's from photosynthesis. We take in oxygen for respiration and produce carbon dioxide. And so we need each other. It's a beautiful balance. And if it's taken out of balance, then that causes problems to an environment, to a small ecosystem, to ecosystems around it, and then actually to even the world if it goes in too large a scale. But interestingly, those superpowered photosynthesizers of the world are bacteria and phytoplankton. They're the ones that produce the most. Now we're going to go inside and we're going to do a fun activity because I think it's really interesting to keep ourselves thinking about the ways we can reduce the wastes that we produce in our world. Let me clip you guys in here and I'm going to come around. And I didn't plug in my glue gun, so I'm going to do that right now. So whenever we can do things to minimize the waste that we produce that are not usable by the environment, that's a good thing. So certain things are recyclable, but even recyclable things tend to build up over time. They're not completely used or completely recycled. Plus, it's kind of fun to use what we have and to make it reusable or repurpose for another thing that we want to use it for. And so I thought this would be really fun because I don't know about you guys, but we have so many games hanging around our house. We have duplicate games. We have games that are broken, that all the pieces are missing, or certain pieces are missing, and we can't play with them. But I don't know what to do with them. And so this is one of those games. This is an old Sorry game, and so I'm going to use this. We're going to make something with this really fun that you'll be able to use to store stuff. It's a storage container using a board game, just the board from a board game. If you go to a resale store, a Goodwill or something, and you find an old board game and you're just unsure if it has all the pieces, you can do the same thing. Or maybe your favorite board game. And this is a great way to store some things. So what I'm going to do is I took a cereal box and I cut off the top, just use my scissors, and I cut off the top so that it was about the same size as 1/4 of my board. And the reason why I did that was because this is one of those boards that folds up in fourths. It folds like this and it folds like this. And so this is the side that I have here. This is the size I have to work with. And so I cut it so that it would be completely covered by my sides like this, just 1/4 of my board. And so now what I'm going to do, I also painted the sides because these are going to be exposed. Now you could cover the sides of your box with any color paint you want. I just used regular, just acrylic paint. I ended up using 2 coats. I used black because it's what I had. If you wanted to match maybe the edge color of the board, you could do the same. You could use the same color as that. You could even use fabric. So you could use some glue, some Mod Podge or something, and put some fabric on there and cover up the sides. So both sides are covered of my my box. And then what I'm going to do is I'm going to take I want to cut my board into 2 pieces. And I actually have enough board here to make 2 whole boxes. So I'm going to pick 2 colors. I think I'm going to pick the blue and the yellow. No, I'm going to pick the blue and the red. I think blue and red would go, because then yellow and green would go together nicely too. And so I'm going to cut them, and I have 2 different ways I can cut them. You can use scissors and cut along the crease, or if you have an X-Acto knife, you can use an X-Acto knife and cut along the crease. Either way is fine. Just do it carefully. Kids, if you guys are doing this with your folks, have your folks watch you do it, make sure, or have your folks do it for you. And so let me move, there we go, we'll move this over. And I'm going to cut, pretty easy to cut because there's no cardboard there, okay? And I'm going to cut this one too. Did I say I'm using red and blue together? Yes. All right, so I'm going to cut these. Okay. I want the board game part to show because I think that would be really fun. I think another one that would be really cute is if you have an old Clue game. I think Clue has a beautiful board, or some of these board games have gorgeous boards on them, and that would be like a really cute decor. Now the other thing I want to do before I stick these on is there's 2 unfinished edges, this side and this side. And so I'm first going to trim this edge that I cut up just a little bit because it's got some floppy paper on it. And I'm going to use some masking tape to just cover the edges. Now, if you wanted to get fancy, you could use all kinds of fun stuff. I mean, you could use ribbon or, I don't know, let your imagination go with you. But you can see how I have blue on these 2 corners right here here and here and here. And so I'm going to put some tape on this side and on this side just to try to match it up and to give me some finished edge. So I'm going to cut my tape longer than my edge. I'm going to try to cover about the same amount, like that. Okay, and then I'm going to fold it over to this side. And then I'm just going to cut off the edge here. Cut off the edge here. This is just, think of the things you could store in this box. This is going to become a fun little storage box. So you could store other games. You could store all your playing cards, would be kind of a fun thing to do. You can put your playing cards in there. You can put your game pieces. You could store Legos. Who doesn't need more space to store Legos, right? Everybody does. So, okay, I'm going to do this other side and trim it up. And we're going to do the same thing with the other piece that we cut. And then we're going to stick it on our cereal box. All right. So this is just something to start with. It's going to go like this. Isn't that cool? All right, let me get this last one going then, and we can stick them on. So if you guys have been watching these and missed a couple of them, you can go onto the videos tab along the sidebar of the Hip Homeschool Moms page to see most of them. I have some of them over, that wasn't long, some of them over on my page, Sherry Seligson Author. And then all of them are located on my YouTube channel, which is Sherry Seligson. That's S-H-E-R-R-I, Seligson, S-E-L-I-G-S-O-N. I love talking about science. I'm an author for Apologia Educational Ministries. I worked as a marine biologist before I had children at Walt Disney World, and was responsible for the sharks, which I think prepared me very well for being a mom. But anyway, I worked as a marine biologist, loved talking about science, loved teaching science, helped them develop some of their educational programs. And then I came home and homeschooled our kids, all 4 of them, kindergarten through 12th grade. They are all now grown and doing their own things. All of them have graduated from college. And so it's just been a joy to continue to encourage other homeschooling families in what they do. I love, again, encouraging science education, but all education. You guys, it's one of the most exciting things we've ever done in our family is homeschooling our children. And I think it's one of the best things you can do. And so I'm all for it, and I want to encourage people to do that. So that's one of the reasons why I'm here. But again, you can continue to keep tabs of what's going on the Apologia page or Sherry Seligson Author. What we're going to do now that we've got these, see how they're trimmed out on the blue, so it looks a little bit more even. So I'm going to glue it on this side and glue one on the other side with my hot glue. So let me get this going here. The hot glue is nice and heated up. You just want to do a nice little even all around the edges especially. And across the top, and then line this up the way I want it to go. All right, just like that. You see that? Okay, one other thing I did, and I recommend you do, is when you paint your sides, paint a little bit over the edge, around the corner, so that you don't see any of that color show up. And then when you glue this on, you want to make sure that that bottom is lined up with the base of your box because you don't want it to stick out over the edge. Let's do the other side. And then we'll have this really great storage box that we can stick all kinds of fun things in. We can, if you had a whole bunch of these on your bookshelf, it might be kind of fun. Again, it could be game storage for your kids. Some fun decor, I think, using something that you already had that you were probably going to throw away. You've lost some of your game pieces. And it helps keep this from getting out into our landfills. All right, so isn't that fun? This is a nice sorry box. This is the sorry box. And so, oh, hey, every time your children have to say I'm sorry, you can have them put some money in here. How about that? That would be fun. But anyway, this gives you some great ideas for reusing some of the things that you already have as you talk about our environment and the impact that doing things to our environment can have to the animals, to the plants, to the organisms that interact with one another, and when we have a change in one organism, how it can kind of like dominoes affect other organisms. And so enjoy exploring this topic with your kids. Let me know if you make any of these, and send us a comment with a picture here. And again, I'd love to stay connected with you on Sherry Seligson Author at Facebook, on the Facebook page. So thanks for joining me. I've had a wonderful 30 episodes with you guys, and have a wonderful Friday and a wonderful, wonderful weekend.